So why don't we go ahead and get started? I think what we'll do is just start with a poem of mine, and then we're going to do some writing together. And I wanted to start with a very gentle poem. This poem is from my book, Unlocking the Heart. So some of you may have already come across it, but I always go with whatever is calling to me, even though I had another plan in mind, of course. This poem
Mhm.
kept coming to the fore, and I'm like, but why? But wait, I wanted to do this other poem. And so this is the poem I'm starting with. Perhaps it's no accident that this poem is called When Fear Takes Over, because, fear may be one of those destabilizing and discombobulating forces that is affecting us in our lives right now. The uncertainty, the in-betweenness that Karen called out earlier, and that a lot of you pointed to, that many of us are feeling right now. And I think the thing that makes me turn to poetry and really revel in creating spaces like this is that, it's a time to ground ourselves. And what I mean by that is to really turn to the physical, the sensory details that just, can bring us back to the present moment in a very uncliched and very concrete way. When we say yes to whatever is calling to our senses, whether I'm hearing the rain outside right now. I was hearing, a truck that was just passing by and idling on the road. Whatever it is, that all gets included. We let all of that into our experience. And when I'm writing, that's sort of become my project is to, first of all, create a safe space, which hopefully we've all created here by owning what we're bringing to the space today, by showing up with our full selves and full hearts. So, creating a safe space where anything is welcome, and then being willing to be surprised by what comes in, be surprised by what you notice. Even if you're writing about a memory, something that happened a while back, I am so often surprised, like, wait a minute, was I really present for that? Was I really noticing that? Just letting all the details in and not questioning, does this belong? Was that accurate? Why does this want to come in? It wants to be in, let it all in. And especially when we're doing sort of automatic writing together like this, first of all, we're in this space together and I'm writing with you. I'm not just the master, telling you what to do and how to do it. I'm writing, I'm jumping in the water with you today. And so we're all in this water together. We're in this shared explorative space. And we're just here to see what arises and what comes. So I'm going to read this poem. I'll offer you a little writing prompt, a little way into your own writing. And I want you to know that if you want to go your own direction, if this sparks something else for you, just go there. Don't worry about it being right or wrong. You're not being graded today. You're not being judged today. This is just a time for you to be wild, deviant, whatever comes. I'm really embracing, a friend of mine used this phrase the other day, divine and deviant. Yes, let's be divine and deviant in our writing. So this is, after the long preamble, this is when fear takes over. Never underestimate the power of your own gentle hand when placed over a racing heart, that press of flesh to flesh which says, yes, you will make it through this. Walk alone in the snowy woods and listen for the way the trees speak to each other in winter, rubbing bare limbs together. Reach out to a friend. Let their voice be the lullaby you never heard as a child. Let kind words wrap around you like a blanket, so thick it soaks up the sound of every secret worry spoken to the air. So I'm going to read that one more time, just to let it land, not because it's the best poem in the world or anything like that, but just as your own wheels are turning. And then think about this phrase, when fear takes over. When fear takes over. When fear takes over. Never underestimate the power of your own gentle hand when placed over a racing heart. That press of flesh to flesh which says, yes, you will make it through this. Walk alone in the snowy woods and listen for the way trees speak to each other in winter, rubbing bare limbs together. Reach out to a friend. Let their voice be the lullaby you never heard as a child. Let kind words wrap around you like a blanket, so thick it soaks up the sound of every secret worry spoken to the air. So the invitation for this one is, if you wish, again, please feel free to go your own way, but maybe just start with this phrase that is the title of my poem, When Fear Takes Over, and think about writing yourself, or it could be for someone you love who may be struggling, but writing a set of instructions. What do you do when fear takes over? And so I'll put this poem up on the screen so you can write from that. And again, be as wild, be as deviant, be as traditional as you want to be in the writing, but just try to follow the writing. We'll go for about 12 minutes. So we'll come back at about maybe about the hour, the turning of the hour. So we'll come back together and I'll give you a little prompt. I'll come on and let you know just another minute or so that's left. And just see what happens in the next 12 minutes. And then we'll come back together. Right, everyone. So we'll take just another minute to finish up and then we'll come back together. Right, everyone. So let's go ahead and slowly come back together. Now, if you need some more time to write, if you need to keep writing, feel free to do that. This is a pressure-free zone. But what we're going to do now is for anyone who is comfortable, there's no pressure again at all. But if you would like to share, I would invite you to just share what you wrote, see how it feels to share it with the group, and just also acknowledging that what we produce here is very raw, very unfinished. So there's no judgment for any drafts that we might share. But I will say also that I am often surprised by what people can create in 10 or 15 minutes, especially when we're in a pressure cooker kind of situation like this group. So if you'd like to share, just use the raise hand function at the very bottom of your screen, and we'll get to as many folks as we can in our time here. So again, raise hand function at the bottom if you feel like sharing, no pressure again. But if you feel even a little call to share, maybe give yourself that nudge if the call is there. All right, first up we have Karen.
So, when fear takes over the next time, may I remember this is how it is now. Fear has come again. May I remember to put my hand to my heart and pause, breathing in, breathing out. May I remember that she is real, that she is a familiar who comes and goes in this human life. May I remember that this human life flows through me, bringing joy as well as sorrow, delight and wonder as well as fear. May I remember my longing to be open of heart to all who come my way, welcoming what is here now. May I remember that kind tenderness is also here now, that she is ever present, ever holding.
Mm, Thank you so much for sharing that, Karen. I love the ending, ever holding. And I also loved the idea of fear as a familiar. And the way that your piece really seemed to soften fear, and in that way welcome it a little bit more. the piece felt like a blessing, which I also appreciate, a blessing or a kind of, self-made prayer, which feels really important. Thank you. Next up is Mary Beth.
I hope I can read my writing. When fear takes over, I become small. I want to shrink, I think, as if that will give me time to hide or simply step. Freeze, please. I am not ready to act. When fear takes over, I am not able to tend to things as much, like service or generosity or even self-compassion. I seem most consumed with self-preservation. I am indecisive, full of worry. It's hard to move forward. But when I can get in there, somewhere between the uh-oh and the oh no, I can pause and coax myself to a better place. I can say, sweetheart, honey, dear one, it's all right. Touch this fear. It's cat fear arched, or the frozen feeling in your limbs. Relax your shoulders. Feel them slide down. Breathe. Even if it's labored, God knows how to get in. And courage will come too. It's in your repertoire and only comes forward when fear is dancing. Courage is its partner.
Oh, Mary Beth, thank you so much. Love that image of courage and fear dancing as partners. I think we all really resonated with that. And, it felt like you were giving yourself instructions. And I think this is the beauty of poems like these. But I think we were all feeling like our shoulders relaxed. We were all being reminded to come back to the breath. And, similar to Karen's poem, it felt like you, especially when you said, touch this fear, making that slightly radical move of like, don't avoid, touch. And in that way, making it more familiar and less of a threat in a way as well.
Thank you. There's a couple of there are, it is rough in places, and to be humble, I was concerned about my voice, but I trust you received it. So thank you.
Yeah. Your voice is coming through. I mean, it's,
I worry more than I should. My friends tell me, but
yeah, I
thank
understand. You. Thanks, Mary Beth. Next up is Holly.
Okay, I am well acquainted with fear. When fear takes over, I used to harden. I used to catastrophize. I used to breathe rapid, slow breaths, certain that the worst thing will happen today, if not today, tomorrow, or the next day, or the next. But I am changing like the seasons, winter into spring, eventually summer and fall too. And I hear fear as the pine siskin zeet outside my window, and I go into the yard to listen for other bird songs. Robin, fox sparrow, dark-eyed junco, bluebird, American tree swallow, evening grosbeak, and chickadee. I hear it all and welcome it all. I am present, and the bird song is present. And the fear sings alongside happiness, joy, grief, and sorrow. Fear is no longer the only song I hear, and I too join in the singing of a beautiful song.
Beautiful, Holly. Birdsong also showed up in my poem too.
It is kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's that anything from the outside world, I mean, it could be sounds of the city, it could be the sounds of the birds, or, whatever it is that kind of calls us back. And I love that your piece implied that, fear is not the only song, that fear is another song. It's part of the soundtrack of what we're hearing. So,
Mhm.
like Mary Beth's piece, it's like fear is the song that's paired with the songs of the birds around us, or the songs of the natural world, or the people that we love, so that there's this entwinement that's happening as well.
Mm.
And I think it's so good to remember that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. Next up is Mary.
Okay. When fear takes over, pull the carrots from the drawer and peel them. Cut them and set them in the blue bowl, the one you bought not because you needed it, but because it was beautiful. Slice the celery in the same way, the onions, the garlic. Pull the hot peppers from the fridge, the ones your husband has already chopped for you, and pause for a moment on this kindness. Heat the cast iron over the stove, the same one you bought many years ago when you were newly married, when you rode the bus home after purchasing them, shocked by their heaviness. Ground yourself in their solidity. As the pan heats, slowly add the olive oil. Pour it from the old wine bottle where it lives. Don't worry if some of it is cloudy. Once it is hot, it won't matter. Slowly stir in your aromatics. The green in the garlic gets you every time. Breathe. Pick up the wooden spoon. Notice your hunger. Scoop in the broth made from all that was discarded. Let yourself sip as you stir. Slowly, 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 make soup. Feed yourself first, then feed your family. Save some leftovers for those who might need them.
Mm, wow, Mary, that's so beautiful. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna own it. But like, I got tears in my eyes when you said, notice your hunger. There was something when, when a poem is kind of writing along and you're like, forgive my language, but oh shit, something else is happening. Like something much bigger is happening here. And it's the notice your hunger. And, I also, speaking of noticing, and this is happening in everyone's piece too, but just the sounds of the words, the green of the garlic gets you every time, like how you are really paying attention to the music and the sounds, and how we're all doing that here when we're kind of giving over ourselves to the writing and letting it take over, letting that larger thing take over. So just noticing that, and it sounds like Adrian was also brought to tears. So I'm glad I wasn't the only softie in the room here. But thank you so much for sharing that piece. I
Thank you
think
guys.
that's, it's one of those things where it's like really simple and like really profound at the same time, and so important to own that. And I think that is, to invoke that phrase that I think I used long ago in another anthology, that is the sacred everyday that we're talking about. All right, next up is Jen.
When fear takes over, I am scared. I notice my chest, my entire body tightening up. It turns into a wave of anxiety, blanketing me in anything but comfort. I forget about singing with the trees and the birds, the beauty. I forget about how gorgeous, fascinating, true life is. I forget everything. I'm scared, I'm tight, and honestly, it's out of control. This is new to me the past year or so. So I say, hello, dear fear. How do you do? I offer him kindness, although certainly not buddy-buddy, at least not yet. This is key for me, this moment of turning, this moment of kindness, this moment of remembering to be the energy of love. If I don't remember, it gets stronger and stronger. When I remember and take that turn with my energy, it softens. We take a few breaths together, fear and I, until we can meet face to face and come to an understanding. Okay, I'm feeling more like myself again, I say. I understand why fear is here, and that's okay. I suppose he has the right, and he needs to be. And it's up to me to make sure we both get along. So I pack up my singing bowls and head out to be with the trees. The birds join us, the clouds comfort us, and we smile as we sing with joy together. Woo,
Wonderful,
thank you.
Jen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love how you're all working with this idea of fear becoming familiar, becoming friendly. I mean, this is in a lot of teachings from all traditions, this idea of, smiling at fear, becoming friendly with fear. And it's not easy. So I love that you're offering all these examples for us. Next up is Alegria.
I'm actually really loving how so many of us are dealing with fear in the same way. It feels oddly validating. So I appreciate kind of the synergies across all the poems. When fear takes over, sometimes I'm afraid of losing all sense of myself. I spend so much time within that I forget to look without and remind myself of where I am and where I've been. At times like these, when the future overtakes the present and I am consumed with worries of what could be, I stop and breathe, a slow, shuddering breath. The sound a sudden puncture point in the air, marking a physical pause, a reminder to resist catastrophe's caress and remain rooted in this moment, this heartbeat, this body, this breath.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much, Alegria. I love that phrase, catastrophes caress. I mean, when you're in emergency mode or in fear or really tired, really drained, I know when I'm in that space, everything feels like an emergency. Everything feels like a cause for stress. And I think then catastrophe becomes enticing, becomes a caress for us because we're very used to it. And so used to responding to certain things in that way. So I love the gentleness that you're bringing to that, but also the truth that, like, okay, yeah, this catastrophe is caressing me right now. And I'm saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. Really beautiful. And also just noticing the ways that you were paying attention to the sounds of the words, those P's, the puncture point, and the physical pause also caught my attention there. Thanks for sharing that. Next up is Lori.
Thank you. When fear takes over, here is a bowl of Great Breakfast cereal with raisins and soy milk. Here is a spoon. Here is a pen, writing in a journal about this bowl of cereal. Here is a slightly growling stomach. Here is a right hand putting down this pen to take a spoonful of nourishment. Here is the gentle fragrance of malted barley, wheat, raisins. Here is the soy milk softening the crunchy cereal nuggets, just enough so as not to grind my teeth or cut into my tender gums that have become worn out over time. Here are my teeth, chewing the raisins into the grape nuts to create that magical taste I first experienced in 1981, when I then became superstitious about needing to eat grape nuts with raisins before every high school exam. Once my mother sacrificed her morning routine to go buy grape nuts because she was superstitious too and wanted to believe the myth that getting into a prestigious college was the key to success in life. So again, when fear takes over, I return to this day in 2025, nourishing my body, my thinking brain, and my creative soul, so that I can be grateful for another breath, another meaningful moment, and I can forgive myself for haunting myself with well-intentioned, but ultimately destructive expectations of what it means to succeed in life.
Thank you so much, Lori. I love the repetition of here is. I actually wrote that down because I think that's a good prompt when we're feeling that discombobulated state. And I love that the here is was here's a bowl of grape nuts, and you're describing everything that's in these grape nuts, the soy milk that's softening it. you know, and then the feel of it in the mouth. So I love that it was a very plain, sort of simple, everyday thing, but that it has this history and this resonance for you. I think you could maybe sell this poem to the Grape Nuts people, and they could use it in their advertising. I don't know, just an idea, but really beautiful piece nonetheless. Thank you. Next up is Lisa.
Thank you. When fear takes over, don't run, don't wait, just stop. Stop in your own footprints. Feel the earth you came from, the earth you belong to. Stop and notice what is around you. Use your eyes to seek beauty, to seek wonder, to seek loveliness. Stop and take one long inhaled breath. Pause, exhale. Do it again, and again, and again. And should eyes close while deep breathing, open your heart to the gift of the moment. Open your heart to life force entering your body as you hold this deep breath. Pause in the liminal space. Then gently give that breath back to the world with all the love you can muster up. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Feel your body now that the tension and fear has been managed. Where did fear go? Where did the anxiety run to? Allow yourself a moment for self-check of your body. Did any tension manifest elsewhere? Or has your body, mind, heart, and spirit banished that fear that once stopped you in your tracks? Give thanks, give praise, repeat, repeat, repeat.
So much in there to appreciate, Lisa. I love the repetition of repeat because it's not a one-off deal. It's a practice. You know, you have to keep doing it, and your piece really captures that. I also love this idea of, you know, you started with don't run. So the idea of staying with the fear. And then later on, it was as if the anxiety, fear had run away because suddenly it's dissipated, you know, at least some. So, you know, that moment when it's like, wait, I became engrossed in something else, like, you know, Mary's making of the soup or whatever it is, and this fear isn't here anymore. Where did it go? You know? So just being aware of that and noticing that too. Next up is Joe. Joe, I think you're still muted. No worries.
When fear takes over, remember the feel of your hand in mine. Remember the sounds of summer birds surrounding a summer campsite. Remember the jagged lightning flashes across the sky. Then remember the peaceful fading of thunder as the storm passes. This too will pass. This too will pass. Nothing living stays the same ever. Rather, it dances in surging spirals of earth energy, first expanding, then contracting, like sheets on a clothesline below the first one way, then another. As a child, I never worried about wind or bed sheets. But now I fear men in the night who come for my friends break the spiral dance. Yet still at midnight, I rise from bed, begin a slow, unsteady dance across the floor, spread my arms like gossamer wings. I become the swan who lives forever, who flies away free into the dawn, carries her whole world beneath her wings.
Wonderful, beautiful image to end with. I love that idea of becoming the swan. You know, it makes me think of, I can't remember whose poem it was in, but this moment of turning was the phrase someone used. And there was that moment of turning in the poem when you're becoming the swan or invoking the swan. And that was a real surprise for me. So thank you for letting that in and sharing that with us. Really appreciate it. All right, next up is Adrian.
When fear takes over. When fear takes over, I try to remember to breathe, but sometimes I'm crying too hard and I need to step aside of myself, my mind, my body, and step into my heart. It's okay, I say silently. You are safe. But sometimes still my body says, no, no. I'm trying to help. Don't you know that you are in danger? I think we need to build the wall even higher. Hush, I say to myself, hush and listen to your heart, your breath, yourself, the loving self that lives inside it all, the self that knows that this fear will not last forever. This fear is becoming weaker. This fear is not real. This fear may not even be yours. That's the trouble with being an empath. I can be like a sponge, like a collective dumping ground, like a lint roller across the slacks of humanity, picking up all of the tiny bits of dirt and dust and filth that cling like static electricity to every soft inch of existence. When fear takes over, I don't try to deny the tears their flow because I know I must release them. I must purge the oceans of doubt and fear and bullshit that have pooled in the deep divots of my heart. I know that once the waves have been released, once the dams have been opened, that I am welcomed into my breath like a warm embrace, that I am seen and soothed by the life-giving air that keeps this body and this heart and this mind alive. When fear takes over, I try to remember to invite my breath to do what it must. Lean in, lean out, lean in, lean out. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, exhale the fear, inhale the quiet information that yes, I am okay.
Oh, Adrian, thank you so much. What a journey that poem is. And, you know, I'm sure this has something to do with your gifts as a reader of poems, but I think it was also the language that you were using. So when you kind of got to the end and you were focusing more on the breath, I was noticing a lot of longer vowel sounds like long ooh, I, and it was like slowing you down, calming you down. And you know, we don't make these choices consciously necessarily. It's the spirit of poetry, the spirit of writing as it's moving through us. But I just want to acknowledge that I was noticing that in the piece, and it had that effect of making me calmer too.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Next up is Susan. Oh, you'll have to unmute, Susan. Sorry about that.
When you said when fear takes over, it immediately brought me back to this situation I was in over 3 years ago. And that's what I wrote about. Captive on the plane, my heart beating wildly, covering my ears with my hands, my eyes shut tight, certain everyone was looking at me. I could only hold my own hand for comfort, and I did. In my mind, seeing your shoulder ready to cushion my face, finally sitting there, aware of my breath slowing. Opening my eyes, seeing the young woman beside me, her warm smile spreading like the sunshine that was hidden inside. I managed to smile back. My eyes filled with tears, so grateful was I for the kindness of a stranger. Later, she bent down to pick up the crochet hook that had slipped from my hand. We struck up a conversation. She and her husband had left their baby at home with grandma. Their first time without him. My first time too, flying without my husband. First, we had something in common, a bond. Finally, I felt safe enough to use the bathroom. I'd been holding it in, so afraid that no one would know or care or become concerned if I did not return. My mind had been wild with fear. The kindness of a stranger kept me company for a while, helping me to give myself permission to put the fear aside and live.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that, Susan. I mean, you really capture the moment so vividly and so well. And just the ending, to put aside the fear and live. And that coming through as a result of the kindness that you experience too, which is also a running theme in so many of these pieces, whether it's kindness from without or kindness from within. And that image of you holding your own hand, that really stays with me too.
Thank you.
Really beautiful. Thank you. Next up is Shelley. Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself, Shelley. There you go.
When fear takes over, invite it into the room and offer it your most comfortable, overstuffed chair. Share a cup of warm tea and a slice of banana bread. Listen with your whole heart and watch the transformation as your breathing slows, your hands unclench, and you realize that we're in this together, not so different, vulnerable, bruised, but yet still hopeful to stumble upon the next sweet surprise.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. That idea of inviting your fears, your demons in for tea. Not an easy thing to practice, but you give us this kind of roadmap for doing that, this situation that. So yeah, I'm gonna make some banana bread for my fear later on today, I think. Thank you so much, Shelley. Really lovely.
Thank you.
Next up is Blaze.
Thank you. When fear takes over, try breathing with a longer exhale. Count in 2, 3, 4. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 rounds of this. Or look around you. Make a list of the colors you see. How many purple things? Or the sounds you hear. Birds, cars, leaves rustling in the trees. If you listen, really listen, can you hear the space between the silent seconds between breaths? Can you smell the newly mown grass beneath your feet? Can you feel the tone of clothing against your body, the softness of socks when you wiggle your toes, or the smoothness of your pen as you write each fear on the lined paper? And you include everything you were ever afraid of as a child walking into your parents' bedroom at 5 a.m. to see if they were breathing, just as you did stand at your daughter's crib to be sure she was alive. She sparkles with aliveness. You don't need a lamp in the room because her smile lights it up. And when she is driving somewhere in the snow, breathe in 2, 3, 4. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until she texts you, I'm home.
Beautiful way to end. I love how you let your care and compassion for your daughter come through. And really just that idea of, being afraid that your parents weren't going to be breathing, checking on them, and then relating that to the practice of checking on your daughter, and then the way the poem kind of zooms us in time more to the present moment. Really nice work. Just, I could tell that you were leaving the door really wide open, Blaze, and just letting all that unfold for us. And it's, yeah, it's a really beautiful way of allowing the writing to speak through you. Thank you. Last but not least, we have Angela.
Hi. When fear takes over and darkness clouds your way, strike a match across a sturdy strip of hope. Illuminate a circle in which to sit and wait. Watch for the rise of the next breath, and then again. in and out, in and out. Slowly, we feel the thump of our own heartbeat, the warmth of our own waiting fingertips, reminding us that we are really never alone. The body, like the vast earth, always waiting, always holding it all.
So lovely. Oh, that initial image too of striking the match across a sturdy strip of hope, something like that, really struck me. And then that, illuminating a circle, so creating this sort of safe space in which to dwell. And then again, that focus on the breath, so that I have to say, listening to these poems has almost been like listening to a guided meditation. And I feel much more, we've all sort of invoked, and I think I did in what I wrote too, this idea of focusing on the breath, coming back to the breath, counting the breaths, or, feeling each inhale, exhale, noticing what we're inhaling, exhaling, as Adrian was saying in the piece. It's just all very important, I think. And it seems too that the theme today is this idea of being with and dwelling with and working with the fear or whatever difficulty or sort of energy that might not be as welcome. So the other, Adrian is asking me if I want to share mine. I'll share mine really quickly, and then I want to do another poem. So I love this prompt, and I love what you all came up with. So this is something that I will use in the future. So thanks so much for just bringing so much to this exercise. So when fear takes over, drink water fresh from the faucet in a clear glass. Feast on the food of birdsong at dawn. This music that floats down from maples blushing with redbuds. Even if you can't yet name the chickadees, red-winged blackbirds, and winter wrens, give in to their calls. What they always awaken in you. Keep the window open a little more than you'd like to. Imagine all the beauty that might slip through alongside the flies and a few stray raindrops that darken the wood of the sill. So that's my little grounding when fear takes over piece. Looks like Rachel, you want to share what you wrote?
Thank you. As usual, I'm going slightly rogue. There are rooms inside myself I've never entered. That's the title. When the fog comes, it pulls all sinews, stops me cold. The trapdoor opens. I fall all the way back to the prison. But right now, fog moistens bright green spring. Inside the top of my cat's head, ears like pyramids, hair like Vinnie Barbarino. I mean, slicked back. This cat who spent his first weeks on the street walks into a room purring. So excited for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all from the same can. I get excited about colors, all colors, when I really look. The wild greens of spring or the rainbow cat heads on my Warhol-style kitty head romper, short, with an elastic waist. I'll wear it on my 60th birthday because it's like purring into a room. Because when I look up, the clouds I'll always have something to say. Because I love people and animals and the sparks that fly between us. Because writing is me alive. And because I've been half dead too long. Because in fog, even my bones will lie to me, contracting, ending the inside world. Because fog opens the serrated cups of kiwi, buds on bare branches, because there were prayer flags on the fence beyond, because those rooms I never entered, I can enter them now.
Wow, Rachel, really beautiful piece and really powerful. Also feels like a deep journey of a poem. And I felt too that moment of turning in your piece where it was like suddenly there's this embrace that happens, coming out of the fog and embracing the color of those prayer flags and just the physical and the sensory details that you were finding around you. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love that idea of being able to step into the rooms now. All right. So I'm going to share one more poem with you guys, and we'll do maybe just a shorter writing exercise this time around. We won't have as much time to share, of course. And also, of course, this was not in my game plan, but so many of us mentioned this idea of softness and really wanting to show up for that today, which was very much embodied in the pieces that have been shared. So I wanted to share this poem, which is called, instead of Try Harder, I thought, we are so often conditioned to just keep pushing, 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 keep grinding, working away. Try harder, in other words. But what would it mean if we tried softer? So this is Try Softer. Honor wherever you are, whether the door to your life has blown off its hinges, or you find the simplest joy sitting in a patch of winter sun on the corner of the carpet where you love to stretch. Try softer, not harder, giving yourself a safe place to land your attention, resting in this threshold moment through which wind, snow, and light all enter alike. So again, try softer. Honor wherever you are, whether the door to your life has blown off its hinges, or you find the simplest joy sitting in a patch of winter sun on that corner of the carpet where you love to stretch. Try softer, not harder, giving yourself a safe place to land your attention, resting in this threshold moment through which wind, snow, and light all enter alike. So you can see that I still had that Freudian slip of wanting to say try harder instead of try softer, right? It's so ingrained in each of us. So the invitation for this one is to borrow one of the phrases. You might borrow the phrase that I start this with, honor wherever you are, and see where that takes you. You might also find richness in try softer, not harder. Do that dash and see what comes for you. So I'll put it up on the screen again, and we'll take about 10 minutes, and we might have room to hear a couple of people if you all want to share. But we'll just see what comes in the next 10 minutes, and we'll come back at about 52 after the hour or so, and I'll give you a little prompt. So just see what comes, and good luck with the writing, everyone. Right, everyone. So take another minute or so to finish up whatever you're writing. I know that's a quick turnaround, and we'll come back together soon. As always, feel free to keep writing if that's what you're called to do. But otherwise, the rest of us will just take a deep breath and come back together. And yeah, if you'd like to raise your hand again, we definitely have time for a few folks to share if you want to share. And we'll see who we get to. Okay. So we'll start with Adrienne.
Try softer, not harder. Instead of holding back the tears, let them flow. Release them and allow your salt to spill across the hard table, the hard floor, the hard hand of social graces that tries to tie up your tears like they're too wild, too feral, too open, really just too much of everything. Allow the soft, wet soul of yourself the space it needs to expel from containment. Don't worry if it makes everyone else uncomfortable. Their discomfort is not the sheriff of your experience. Your vulnerability is not a crime. Your tenderness is not shameful. Your softness is not anything you need to hide from the hardness, but rather a lesson you can give someone who may have never been given anything tender, something they can hopefully receive quietly, softly, something that perhaps will ease their own hardness, something they didn't realize had calcified, something they didn't know they could release.
Wonderful, Adrienne. Thank you so much. Love that image of the calcified and that repetition of the hardness. All right. Next up, we have Lisa.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Try softer. Put down the axe, the hammer, and the ugly words. Take your foot off the gas pedal. Ease back from the fender in front of you. Bless that driver with words of kindness. Turn off the news, the world in chaos and the lies. Pray for the world, the hopeless and the homeless, the hungry. Carry on with acts of kindness, mutual care, concern. Speak only loving words.
Thank you so much for that, Lisa. Really beautiful. Love that invocation of the kindness again. Next up is Karen.
Honor wherever you are, softening to what is here now, being with whatever has arrived. Pause in not knowing, offering an open heart and curious mind, a habit of welcoming, of respect. Receive what is being brought, silence, peace, alarm, the clouding of confusion, leaning in to perceive more clearly. Each moment is a place of practice. Choose that rather than trying harder. Soften, companioned by wonder.
Thank you so much, Karen. Love that. Companioned as a verb and with wonder. Thank you. Next up, we have Lori.
Thanks. Try softer, not harder. This is a combination of things I took in from the previous everyone reading their poems. Ever holding between the uh-oh and the oh no, I hear fear, shocked by their heaviness. Slowly, slowly, slowly make soup. Gorgeous, fascinating, true, be the energy of love to look without. slow shuddering breath, catastrophes caress, puncture points. Breathe, pause, exhale, do it again. Surging spirals of Earth's energy, every soft inch of existence. Yes, I am okay. The crochet hook that slipped from my hand. Next, sweet surprise, how many purple things. Space between single seconds, sturdy strip of hope. Fingertips, a few stray raindrops, ears like pyramids. Writing is me alive.
Beautiful, beautiful distillation of all the pieces that were read. That's wonderful, Lori. Thank you for that noticing and that collecting. Really appreciate that. Next up is Blaze.
Try softer when you want to shout your anger and blame into the heart of the other like an arrow aimed to wound, to kill, even when you want to see the other bleed and writhe and feel the pain of the arrow pulling out. Try softer. Lower your voice and say, "Oh, my darling one." Try softer. Where is the heartbreak that led to this? Try softer. Press a clean white handkerchief over the hurt that caused the hurt that hurt the hurt that made you want to hurt back. Don't throw grains of salt or the hard brick well aimed. Try softer that can bring healing.
I love that, Blaze. I really love that. I mean, it's so honest that we, there is in us this desire to cause harm to those who have harmed us. And yet there is this softer way, there might be skillful responses to those who have caused pain or harm, but that recognition that heartbreak led to it and that repetition of the hurt, just felt really truthful and resonant to me. Thank you. Next up is Joe Bauer. And you'll have to unmute Joe, just remember. There you go.
Try softer, not harder. I love the way my body finally folds into its favorite chair when the endless effort of keeping this body upright is over, at least for now. All my life, I have fought gravity to make friends with the many worlds beyond my threshold, to not worry when others thought I was clumsy or awkward or even ugly. My body is not like most bodies, so I've had to hold on with both hands to withstand turbulent weather. The risk of losing my footing was always too close, until a glorious day when I walked the endless beach, finally free of fear, knowing that sea and sand would be sufficient to wash and cleanse me, hold me forever in love.
Beautifully written. Thank you, Joe. What a just glorious ending. That endless beach, that sea that washes you and us clean. Really nice. Thank you. And last up, we have Holly. Bring us home, Holly.
Oh, goodness. Mine,
No pressure.
well, I got stuck on the discombobulation that we were speaking to earlier. Hopefully it ends on somewhat of a positive note. You might have to save us, James. If I truly honor where we are, I do not know whether to try harder or to try softer, or should I even try? We are up against a machine, years in the making, well-oiled, ready to run us over and to change the game faster than we can don our uniforms and walk onto the field. The referees are silent. Our coaches are confused. This is not the game they prepared for. How do you coach soccer when the field is on fire and your players are burning? There will be no victory, no honorable fight. Use the bucket of Gatorade to douse the flames. 1 bucket, then 2, then 2,000, then 2,000,000 buckets. Douse the flames. Try harder, try softer, try, and be ready to awaken to a new day. It's kind of hard. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think we have this idea that, you know, there has to be redemption or ending on a positive note in every poem or every piece, and that's not, you know, I think your poem does indicate that, you know, we have to start each day anew, you know, and do what we can and show up the ways that we can. But I almost shared another poem which was part of my weekly newsletter this week, and is about just, you know, being in the mud, being in the muck sometimes. You know, there are those days too. And, you know, someone recently was telling me about how, you know, we have this image of the transformed butterfly going from flower to flower and soaking up the nectar, but they also feed on mud, dead things, right? Blood, sweat, tears. So, you know, we need both. We need the difficult, we need to own that, and we need to remember that it is a new day. And I think what gives me hope is gatherings like this. You know, it may seem like, well, we're not doing anything to really change the world, but we are. When we gather like this, when we write together like this, and write in the ways that we are writing, with open hearts and spirits, you know, sharing if we feel compelled to do that, then we are shifting consciousness. And that is what needs to happen, probably more than anything else. That we need a shift in consciousness. We need a shift toward being willing to pause, being willing to be restful and radically slow, so that we have the energy to show up and keep trying. You know, I really appreciate, Holly, that you were saying, you know, what if you don't want to try? What if you feel like it's useless to try? Because that's just being really honest too. So I don't mean to get on my soapbox or give you all a sermon, but my heart is full because we all showed up today and, you know, wrote together, and we're just able to be here in this space together. We chose this space as a way to spend our precious few hours on a Saturday, and that means the world to me. And I hope that it's been useful and heart-filling for some of you as well. So thank you all so much for being together today. Very grateful to each of you. So glad to meet some of you for the first time, at least by face, and hope to see you again sometime. So please take good care of yourselves, err on the side of self-compassion, do what you need, and yeah, try harder, try softer, whatever feels right.
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
James.
much.
Thank
Bye,
you so
all.
much.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you all. Take good care, friends.
Okay.